for anyone who doesn't know, there are 6 Paya's Return members. There are 6 players in the Paya's Return cast. They are not allowed to watch each other's session zeros. They're not allowed to see each other's. There's a lot of things that you guys will know that these Paya's Return members will not, because they're also not allowed to look at chat. So none of them are allowed to look at chat. Each one of them will have a handful of secrets that you guys are going to get to know that nobody else will know, and you guys will be able to play around with that a whole ton. And later, down the line, we will be talking about how chat interaction will work. We'll explain that a little bit. Welcome to the first session 0 of Paya's Return. All right. Hello, Cops.
Hi.
AKA Sombers. Correct?
Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
A quick understanding of what our surroundings are. You are currently taking place in a city called Shimmer. Shimmer is a town that you know extremely well, unreasonably well. Many years well.
Mm-hmm.
This is a small settlement inside of the city of Etheria. So Etheria is kind of a very magical, non-civilized area in the Horn Range. So for anyone who doesn't know, Paya's geography is similar to real-world geography. Now that doesn't mean that the same places or the same countries exist or anything like that, the same cities, but geographically the land masses are very, very similar. So if you were to imagine the western side of the North Americas is roughly where the Horn Range is. On the west side of the Horn Range, you have Etheria, which is a forested region, and more importantly, it is one of the most powerful mana fluxes on all of Paya. So with that in mind, you live in a settlement inside of Etheria known as Shimmer. And something that's very important about Shimmer is that no one knows that Shimmer exists other than its residents. It's an elusive territory, and it is a way that you survived. Shimmer is basically a camp for refugees, and not just refugees, but powerful ones at that. People who have been around for many hundreds, even thousands of years in some cases, depending. So when the elves were doing old experimentation, when they were doing terrible, awful things to many creatures, and humans especially, Shimmer was developed to hide away. Sombers, I think you might know something about that.
Yeah.
So, Sombers, you are in your room right now. This is your room right here. This is your small studio that exists slightly underground. You're kind of in a little bungalow-shaped house, a little bit sunken underground. And right on your east wall right here, or right here, you have a mirror. I would like you, if you could, to describe your character, who you are physically, and what I would know of you if I were to physically meet you.
All right. I, Sombers, am a very large black dracoling. I have my white bone tattoos all over my body, including my face, which has a massive scarring on her right side of her face. A broken tooth that, instead of like a gold tooth, it's the red orichalcum tooth in place of the broken fang that I have. I am also 7'8", 7'10".
Perfect.
Almost 8 feet tall.
So if nobody caught it, I know a handful of you did, just looking at chat. It is true that we are going to be using the Adventurer's Guide in Paya's Return. So all Adventurer's Guide rules are available in this session. They will be using them as necessary. As well, there may be an introduction of homebrew rules. I will do my best to disclose when a homebrew rule is getting used, but Dracolings are a species from the current testing of the Adventurer's Guide. Within your room, I'm going to ask you a very simple question. What are you packing to leave? You have a long journey ahead of you, as I'm sure you are aware.
Yes.
And I need to know what you'll be taking with you.
I am going to be grabbing a notebook to keep my thoughts arranged. And I will also be making sure that I have my claw and tooth necklace. I have that pouch that's going to sit on my hip for those petals, as well as, you know, general rations that are probably going to be needed, and cloth material, general, like, probably camping.
Please jot all of that down to the best of your ability. Keep note of it.
Yes.
We'll calculate slots and things like that and do all the math side of those things later. The important thing is that you have them on you. And when you are ready, feel free to exit up the stairs. All right, perfect. So, the first thing that you notice when you go up these stairs, you leave kind of around the riverbank of the homesteads. The homesteads are kind of these small shacks, bungalows, and things like that. These small wooden and adobe structures mostly. I mean, this is thousands and thousands of years ago that many of these buildings were constructed and stood the test of time because of how well taken care of this land has been. Those stairs lead up to a small opening in a hillside, and once you crest your way up those stairs, you see 4 beating eyes staring down at you, and these beating eyes kind of turn into these long, lanky, gargantuan figures staring down at you. Both diamond and dark onyx scales kind of build out of the eyes and across the bodies of these gigantic, menacing, intimidating creatures as you look down the barrel of 2 ancient dragons. Now, I'm going to give a little bit of understanding of what ancient dragons are in the world of Utopia for anybody who doesn't know. They're about the second most powerful dragon and probably one of the most powerful creatures known to Paya. In the world of dragons, you have what's known as a main lineage. So at the earliest level of the main lineage, you have the lesser dragons. These are things like basilisks, wyverns, things of that nature. Anything that has a name that's probably not dragon, there's 6 of them in total. Beyond that, you have the greater dragons. The greater dragons are the crystalline dragons. There's another way to know them. Citrine dragon, the sapphire dragon, the ruby dragon, etc., etc. Going up that scale, you have the diamond and the onyx dragon. The 2 types of ancient dragons were known to be extinct on Paya. However, these 2 seem to be beckoning across Sombers right now, looking her dead in the eyes, as one of them reaches down, specifically the onyx dragon. The onyx dragon looks down at you and it gets up and close to you, kind of almost like snoot up against yours, looking you dead in the eyes. And after a short silence, it pulls back for a second. Are you sure you're ready, Sombers?
Yes.
And the diamond dragon begins to kind of slowly walk in and put her shoulders together and kind of crouch down, kind of get down on your level to the best of her ability. The diamond dragon, she is much broader in comparison to the black dragon. The black dragon is small, nearly serpentine. I mean, small for his gigantic stature, but slender in comparison to this diamond dragon that is broad and very filled out. She tries to kind of crouch down onto your level and says, "It hasn't been long that your curse has been lifted. It's not safe where you're going. You recognize that, yes?"
To be fair, it's never been safe for me. Y'all know that.
But you have us here. And you've had us for thousands of years now.
I don't know. But what I saw in that dream that I had, I have to...
And the black dragon, the onyx dragon, steps up and says, "What happened in your dream lifted a curse that even we couldn't break. Who knows who you saw there? And who's to say they ever have your best interest or anybody's best interest in mind?"
I have to see why. I have to. I just feel it.
The black dragon, the onyx, begins to speak up for a second, lift his mouth, and you see like a sudden like knock as the diamond dragon's nose knocks against the black dragon's. And he kind of stops and rests for a second, and he looks down. And she goes, "You've been stuck the way that you are for thousands of years. I hope the taste of power is sweet. You've long since earned it, since what they did to you."
I hope you're right. And I can't lie. I'm excited for it.
I can see it in your eyes. I remember
I
that
know.
look.
I know you two are worried about me, but I feel like, my time here with you watching me, I feel like I'll be okay.
And the black dragon snips up a little bit, kind of lifts his chin really quickly, and he looks down at you and he says, "You know no one can know where we are, right? No one can know of this place.
I know.
It's not just our safety, it's not just your safety, it's everyone's safety. Thousands of years of history and lineage are hidden here.
I'm well aware of that.
And you think you can keep those secrets from the telepaths, from the mages, from everybody who can put their wriggly little fingers in your mind?"
I will not reveal this place. You know how important it is. I know how important this is. Not a word.
As he takes a deep breath in, his chest expands and then compresses in, and you watch this thick black fog reels out of his nostrils. "I can't with you. You're too determined for your own good."
I ain't stupid.
And with that, a small claw kind of comes up, and it reaches over your head as you watch as the diamond dragon puts about a single finger's worth of their hand up on your head, which almost encompasses your entire body, but kind of puts it up and kind of gives you their equivalent of a little pat on the head down your spine. It's a very comforting feeling, as you've known these two for many, many, many years, and they are essentially the reason that you are alive today. As for anyone who doesn't know, you could not progress beyond your current level since experimentation ended due to the curse that was lifted most recently in a dream about the wayward. With that, I'm going to send you off to the Black Gardens. And as they kind of walk with you, as these two gigantic ancient dragons walk with you across these streets that are basically designed for them, the streets are so parted, the houses are parted from each other so wide just to accept the gigantic stature of these dragons who basically designed this city from scratch. All of the people who come out of their houses, many disfigured, destroyed in similar circumstances to you, been around since ancient elvish times, have been accustomed to neo-concentration camps of equivalent stature to the olden days, to those who support and ritualize the old practices that they had. They come out of these doors and they see these two dragons and they basically salute, put hands on their hearts at what are essentially saviors to them, and they watch you, and a couple of them kind of just revere as you walk around. A boy of young stature, kind of a disfigured face, scaled over, and fur on different parts of his body, patchwork limbs that have been put together. He runs up to you, somebody that you've known for many, many years of your life. He's only a few hundred years old, so very young in comparison, born to a very young family that died, and he grabs you by the breech of your upper abdomen shirt, as this is the highest he can reach. And he says, "Are you really going outside?"
Yeah. Yeah, I am.
Wow. Will you come back and tell me what it looks like?
Sure thing, kiddo.
Tell me what the people are like. Bring back food. A snack. Just one. Just one. It doesn't have to be many. Just one.
All right.
And as that's happening, the dragons kind of walk on into the Black Garden. And the Black Garden is extremely important because of a very common curse that happened during old experimentation times, known as the Nightingale Curse. This is your downfall, Sombers. Every character of this cast will have a downfall, and this will be yours, the Nightingale Curse. Though she may grow more powerful, the curse has mutated in some capacity, proving its presence is still there. Once per day, she must consume the petal of a nightingale flower mixed with water, either in the form of a powder mix or tea. For each day she does not, she'll gain 1 curse point. Nightingale flowers can be found in the most tropical forested or grassy regions, equivalent to a common refinement component when foraging. At 1 curse point, whenever a creature makes contact with her, physical contact, this curse will deal 1d4 psyche damage to that creature, and a creature can only suffer this damage up to once per minute. 2 curse points, rather than touch, it is whenever a creature makes eye contact with her, and it will increase to a 2d6. 3 curse points, rather than eye contact, all creatures that enter a space within 5 meters of her will suffer the effect, and the damage is increased to 2d8. At 4 curse points, whenever another creature takes damage from the effect, she will as well. The damage increases to 3d10. For every point following that, the amount of damage will increase by another d10. And as you go across these gardens and watch the many people who have harvested this small pile of land that has been kept fertile and been taken care of for many, many generations, and one generation is not to be scoffed at in a place like this, they pile up a handful of these packages of nightingale petals, these vials essentially, these 10 vials, corked and ready, and one of the young girls hands it up to you. And the diamond dragon curls her head over your shoulder and she says, "This is all we have for you. Unfortunately, a better harvest would have been much more beneficial for a time like this, but I'm sure you'll know how to take care of yourself from here."
Yeah, I understand. And I thank you.
So, you have 10 charges of Nightingale Potion. Your curse points are under the assumption that you just took one. So you essentially start now. Every 24 hours following, you will gain a curse point until you consume a Nightingale.
All right.
And immediately as that's happening, as you're kind of going around the Black Garden, you take this from this girl, a young girl, very maybe like, when I say young, I mean like genuinely young, maybe 18 years old at this point. And for her type, which is partially draconic, much like yourself, but more on the human side of things, she runs up to you and she says, "Here, have mine."
You don't have to.
And she hands you 2 more, these 2 charges. She says, "I made them for you." And she kind of like shoves them into your lower stomach, which is the highest she can reach on you.
All right. I'll take them.
And she walks back and she has a stern glare. She looks at the ground. She's white knuckling. Her fists are so clenched. And she's like, "Don't die out there. You are a symbol for us. And if you die out there, none of us are ever gonna go outside again.
Don't worry
Come back.
about me. I don't plan on it. I will."
You better come back." And you watch as one dark red crimson tear falls down her face. As you can tell, all of the flesh and bone and fluids in her body have been mutated, much like many others here. And she walks up and puts a stern face on your knee and just grabs your pant leg. She says, "You can't die."
I'm gonna put a very gentle clawed hand on the top of her head and just kind of like pet her head a little bit in a soothing manner to try and calm her, and I promise.
As that happens, when you put your hand on her head, you're going to take 4 psyche damage, as she has not consumed enough Nightingale to release her curse. Your mind rushes. Vivid thoughts, nightmares, aberrations flood through your eyes to the back of your mind, bouncing around in your skull until finally releasing in what is essentially a mild migraine by the end of it.
I'll take the hand off and I'll just take a deep breath. Not even showing it.
She looks at you with the best smile she can come up with, which is crooked and snaggled. And she furrows her brows and she says, "You're gonna be our ticket out of here, okay?"
I nod. You got it, ma'am.
And she runs back into a house, busts open the door and runs back out, and she plants a flag in the ground, and you watch as she kind of awkwardly unfurls it out and pulls it and tries to get the wind to catch it a little bit before the diamond dragon goes around the house in this graceful, swift motion, comes around the other way just to blow. on the flag to give it wind. And this huge gust of wind in comparison to this girl and this flag, she almost stutters, knocks over from this gust of wind that this diamond dragon is able to produce from just a light breeze. And the flag opens up and you see the upper portion from about the crown of your skull to the tip of your snoot drawn on this flag, stuck in the ground. And as this happens, as you just kind of witness this, a handful of other folk that you've known for so long, including the boy you spoke to no more than a minute ago, a few other folk that have been helping you, saving you, tending to the garden that's kept you alive this long, all come out with their own flags and stick them in the ground.
I promise. And I'm honored. I won't let y'all down.
And quietly, softly, the onyx dragon lays down next to you and kind of coils up around you to the best of his ability. This is a very common thing that he does, usually never in public, mostly due to image. He would never give up his vanity in such a way to be able to do this. But he lays down and curls up around you, and he puts a soft chin next to you, which, I mean, his face is nearly the size of you entirely. And you can feel the massive compressions and expansions of his chest due to his size in comparison to yours, as he just lays with you for a moment.
I'm gonna lay my head on kind of like the top of his brow and just rest my head there for a moment as well.
So you kind of make your way across this coastline. You could probably make your way from one end of this entire settlement to the other in virtually no time flat. And as you get escorted by the various people in your town that are basically following you, creating an entourage for you as you go to exit through what is the quote-unquote intended exit of an area like this, which isn't often used very much because people don't generally leave. And they give you a small boat that will take you out the river and hopefully it through the mouth into the ocean, which finally you can use to get to Chimeros. And an old friend of yours approaches you from behind, this one more bestial in nature. There's no specific beast that you could think of that really makes up her complexion, but she's almost your height, about 1.5 feet shorter than you. Okay, almost your height is a little bit of a struggle. She asks you, do you know much about Chimeros? I mean, you haven't been there, right? You haven't been anywhere else.
No. You're right, I haven't, but...
You know, the last time someone went out on a refuge mission, they brought some scrolls back, and I heard a couple of stories about it, just a few things. So there's an illusionary wall that you know is kind of the barrier before you are going to be revealed to the world again. And she sits just on the edge of that and just kind of sits down on the bank of the river, looking down at the crystalline, almost silvery water. I don't know if any of them are true. I don't think anyone here is going to know but you now.
Why don't you tell me one?
I heard before about these dreams that people would have. They came real. And honestly, it was a story that I was told as a kid in general. But I've heard of it actually happening in Chimeros via records, receipts. There was an old cavern, this old mushroom cavern. Party of adventurers went down there, and one of the adventurers was this golem. Huge ice sentinel created by some archmage, I'm sure. And when the entire party left, he didn't go. He just stayed there. Someone told me about some newcomers there. A small band. Apparently there's a prison there that's oddly hospitable. I haven't heard much about it, and I don't think they really want anybody to know about it.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah. One of the adventurers there fell into the desert, almost died. Starvation, dehydration, all of that. Made their way through the desert and met one of the folk in the prison camp that was on a mission and got lost. She took them back with the entire party and everything. And when they brought him home, she never left. Which is interesting because she was on a mission. And she never left. Seems like a lot of people find their homes in Chimeros.
I plan on coming back. You know that. I'm coming back.
She tucks her chin and looks away from you. Yeah, I know that. She puts her hands together really tight and sets them in her lap as she just looks down at the silver water beneath you.
Even if I do want to stay there, I'm still coming back here at least. Y'all deserve it.
I wouldn't. I'm jealous of you, Sombers. If I were you, I'd never turn back. So I'm glad you're the one who's leaving. One taste of the sun. A sun that's not hiding from anybody else. A sun that doesn't fear for its safety. One taste of it, and I don't think I'd ever turn around. And with a swift motion, she kind of kicks you in the back of the shin. Not in any harmful or malicious way, but kicks you in the back of the shin as she throws your stuff into the small boat, the small kind of canoe that you have, essentially, and unhooks the anchor and says, "Oh, there's your ride."
I let out a chuckle and I jump into it.
As you jump, the weight underneath you as it smashes into the boat almost touches the bottom of this shallow portion of the river as you almost begin to engulf it with water, but it just raises up just in time for it to stay afloat. And she gives out a hearty laugh at you. Never change, Sombers. Never change.
You either, kid.
And as you phase through this illusionary wall, this enchantment that's been keeping everybody eluded up to this point, all of the town of Shimmer disappears behind you. And you are just one singular, lonely person floating through the forest. And sprites and shimmers and these glowing bits of mana and particulates just elude around you and sing to you in what is now a deep night sky. You have always been able to speak with mana in a way that most primordial creatures cannot. Many creatures know primordial, and you know something far, far beyond it. And it happens in such a way that the atmosphere, the world around you speaks to you, almost as if it's what the forest is feeling at the time. This shimmering, glimmering forest around you is applauding you, pushing you forward.
I'll be honest, it probably almost brings a tear to her eye.
It's no more than 8 to 10 hours before you finally manage to reach the coastline. The very edge of the Horn Range, where you go to a small port town that you were tipped off to before this entire thing started. And somebody inside, a draconic folk that you meet, looks at you, gives you a little bit of a wink, and comes up to pack your bags as he's stamping everybody's tickets, produces a ticket from his own pocket, puts it in your hand, takes it back from you, stamps it, and then hands it back to you.
I'll just blink at him and then nod.
And so, a soft ride to the island and territory of Chimeros will be the end of your session 0. Thank you so much, Cobbs. How do you feel? I want to get a quick idea of how you feel about this. I know that you haven't been on the Piascast before. This is our newest member, chat. So for anyone who doesn't know, Cobbs has not been a part of the Piascast prior to this. We've done many Pia's redemption sessions, which is the previous season to Pia's Return. It's not necessary to have watched Pia's Redemption in order to watch Pia's Return. It might give you some extra information that you might be interested in, but it's not a required thing. But Cobbs was not a part of the Pia's Redemption team. So, for your
Yeah.
first time being live and playing a character for Pi's Return, how do you feel?
Nervous because I'm new to the whole game itself, but
Mhm.
very, very excited as well for the story ahead.